So welcome back, everybody. This is Paul again, and I'm making another of my series about esoteric philosophy, esoteric teachings, and esoteric psychology. And I want to explore today a very, very powerful and interesting subject. And before I do that, I want to put some context here. Part of my own personal journey here, the way I studied all the esoteric teachings over the years and religions. I was born into a Christian family. My dad was a minister, Methodist minister, went to India, spent a lot of time there. I was born there. My grandfather was also a Methodist missionary and a minister, and he went to Belgian Congo and ended up traveling to a lot of countries in his life. And in the process, we meet a lot of people from other parts of the world and different kinds of religions, and it presents a lot of conflict, and we have that problem today. There's a lot of different problems today associated with religion and understanding what's going on. And the context is that there's a history on this planet, and if you take the religions as a group, human soul wants to go out and they want to try to feel something in their life, and there's a lot of struggles along the way in human civilizations and so on, and there's a lot of compassionate people over the centuries, thousands of years, that have witnessed the suffering, and some of them have become very loving and kind beings during their life, and they learned a lot, and they began to teach stories over the years. And the evolution of our human consciousness, all these great teachers have taught us that we have more potential as human beings, and they represent people call them the God man or whatever, but really what they're trying to say is, look, we're all God people. We got this human body, we have this option here in this life to experience something, and if we got one human body, they're all alike here. So the esoteric teachings have tried to help us understand where religion really comes from, because it really comes from the human thirst and the response that different beings have had over the centuries and thousands of years. Human suffering is not a new problem. The Buddha starts his famous scripture with life is difficult, or some there, quote, therefore close to that anyway, a paraphrase, but it's a pain in the butt basically sometimes. But they have, people have been honored over the centuries in many parts of the world as being so-called saviors, or people who were enlightened, or they were considered wise or kind or something, and they got honored. And in general, they get honored because they not only just speak kind words, but they help people understand who they are, what they can do, what this human life is all about, so that if you talk about being saved, if you don't know how to fly and you get taught how to use your wings, I guess you could say that's saved, So basically there's been a long, long tradition over the thousands of years in the esoteric tradition of not just one so-called savior, but basically a saving principle that you might call collective compassion. The teachings come down to us from thousands of years. People learn how to use their body. People learn how to perceive better. People learn how to heal. They learn how to live long, productive lives and be creative and so on. So all those teachings amount to a long tradition that is we're supposed to benefit from. And unfortunately, a lot of the religions, in the modern era, they get even more simplified. How many versions of Christianity are there? How many churches? Essentially, if you take something, if it was a simple teaching, how come it gets complicated? Because that's why these great sages, there's been an anticipation that, okay, they're going to come back, and there's going to be another one. And look, a lot of them have come already. There's been a whole lot of people on this earth who taught amazing things, and it's because the same old problems, like you teach a kid, we just got to get told a lot of times. So there is a long tradition, and when I was growing up, I was thought, okay, well, there's a church, and I got to go there. My dad's a minister, and here's what I got to believe and everything. And I started to get a little older, and I saw people around me in India I started to wonder, well, wait a minute here. There's just the human being is conscious. There's a lot more, and I want to read these stories about these great Christian saints, and I go, well, holy cow, they're having a pretty amazing experience. What were they talking about? Those Essenian people, all the different early Christians, the Gnostics, and so on. What were they talking about? Because I didn't teach that in my Sunday school. So what I try to help people understand is, look, whatever religion you belong to, and I'm going to speak about Christianity today, there is a long tradition that goes back a long time about, again, you might call it a brotherhood, an integration of an assembly of souls or whatever, that in spite of the darkness in the world and all the problems that are going on, there's also a lot of kind people and nice people and wise people and creative people. And, in the concept of the Hindus, you might say, or many other religions, they reincarnate and there's a purpose. So, what's the purpose of being here? Well, we get to be servants, okay? If you have a gift, you bring it forward. You grow, you learn, you teach from what you learn, and that's how it works. So we are the benefit of a long tradition of teaching. And I'm going to address a little bit about Christianity today, because Christianity talks a lot about, of course, 2,000 years ago there was a person born, and we don't even really know what he looked like, or accurately. There's a whole lot of information missing, including about 18 years of his life. And then we're told that he taught for 3 years or so, and they got mad. The political system was not kind to him, and finally just decided to kill him. And after that, there was a whole bunch of people that had seen him and talked to him, and apparently the New Testament, the earliest version of the New Testament I have heard about it, I think is around 60 years after Jesus was supposed to have died. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of missing information just about the Christian religion, and it's not the only religion that anticipates some kind of savior or incarnation or divine being come. And look, if there's one human being on this earth that gets divine or whatever, realizes something or gets enlightened, then that means that everybody with the human body can do that. There's nothing. It's just a matter of practice and knowing what to do. And all these teachers say, look, if you want satisfaction, to satisfy that thirst that you have, first of all, to get peace and joy in your life so you can be loving to others and kind to other beings, you have to feel that peace within yourself. And when you feel it through a direct perception, and you feel that immortality, that joyfulness that's within ourselves, that's the kingdom of heaven. And from there, we can make heaven on earth if you want to, but at least you have it within you. So this is the message. Now, when I was growing up, I started learning about Christianity. A little bit of, when I get a little older in high school, I start thinking, I don't really, I don't know. It's not doing it for me. And I wasn't feeling fulfilled, and I didn't feel like I was being taught anything except those old stories. So when I got to college, I encountered some people who started talking to me and teaching me about other things that I learned. That's the whole point about education. You learn and you grow and you understand that, hey, look, there's a lot more dots in this picture than I've been told, and I'm going to connect some of them. So I learned about meditation from some people who brought me to where someone was speaking, and his name is Prem Rawat. That was a long time ago in the early 70s. He's been around the world now for 50 years, and he taught me 4 techniques that I learned. At first I didn't understand them. I just didn't know what I was doing, and now over the time I started practicing and realized, everything that I felt, all the joy that I felt, all those experiences that I was hungering for and trying to understand in the Christian religion, and was answered by being able to go inside and feel. And over the years, experience has developed it's just, I can't even talk much about it, because it's just a beautiful experience. I have it within me, and if I want to go deep, I can go really deep. But over the years, it just starts to stick with you, and you start having a lot of understandings and answers. Clarity. If you talk about salvation, what does it mean to be saved? What does it mean to be liberated? To understand and have some clarity about this purpose of this life, so that we can use this vehicle that we have and have a joyful, wonderful, peaceful, happy time for as long as we live, right up until the last breath. And that's what the teachers are trying to teach. Now, I'm going to talk about some books here that give us a little broader context to the Christian religion. And one that a lot of people are familiar with, there was a man named Edgar Casey. He wrote, he went into trances, and he came out. He was a Sunday school teacher during his day job, but he had an experience, and he went out into trances. You can look him up here. And there was a lot of different things that came out of readings that he gave for people to try to help them with different kinds of problems and healing and physical illnesses and so on. And there was a whole bunch of stuff about Jesus that came out. And obviously there was a lot more that going on during the time in Egypt long ago, and Moses and so on. It's a really, really big, huge, vast story. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize in modern Christianity, that the symbolism of Jesus, the Son, and the 12 disciples, the great hero, and then there's the 12 signs of the zodiac. There's an awful lot of astronomy, astrology. That's how they kept time. That's why some of these prophets would be able to predict, because, okay, they know there's a cycle of time, and they knew it astronomically. This is a great tradition all around the world. People watch the stars because that's how they navigate, and that's how they kept time. And the Christian story, we don't really know exactly when Jesus was born. Again, they put his date right after the December 21st, because 3 days or so after that, the sun starts coming back toward the north, toward the south, or whatever, and it's just an astrological thing. And again, they watch the cycles of the stars for a reason, and their whole religion and concept of renewal was there's a seasons on the planet, and then there's seasons in the galaxy, and then there's cosmic seasons. And that teaching of cosmic cycles, astronomy, astrotheology, what happens, the different ages, the precession of the equinoxes, and the astronomers and the mystics of the time, they watch the stars, they say, okay, this is the age of Aries, this is the age of the bull, this is the age of the ram, this is the age of the fisherman. And we had the Piscean age, and it was very much the fish and the fisherman and everything. It was just an allegory of, okay, now we're in this time, and what is it after the age of Pisces comes as the precesses? You come back to the first point of Aries, actually it's going back toward Aquarius, I beg your pardon. So you go into the sign of Aquarius, and then we have this whole new thing. And that's why the prediction was, okay, a great teacher will take responsibility for the planet and all its, have compassion, and say, okay, I'm going to be in the spirit realm for this particular period, and then after that period, then another one's going to come. And these great teachers, who I believe, there's many people, there's a number of them on earth right now who I've met, some of them, and I've met and seen them online, and there's some really, really great souls on this planet who I have no problem with. I would just honor them because they taught me something and helped me all my life, and they're really, truly great souls. And those kind of people, if you're lucky to be born on this planet in a time when there's some of these great souls on this planet, then, man, just go and listen to what they have to say, because they really, the simple methods of going inside so they have a practical experience. Because all the allegory and philosophy and how many angels and all the cosmology and this and that, whatever, it doesn't really mean anything if you don't have any real fulfillment in our life. But yet, once you have a real fulfillment and joy in your life, then you can go on and maybe explore some of these other subjects. Now, I'm going to go quickly through a number of books here. The whole concept of initiation, revelation, baptism, whatever you call it, there's every being in this universe. This is the whole point. We grow, we grow, we grow, we grow, we expand, and there's no end to it. And that's the whole joy of it. And we're all here together. And this one is a little book about the initiation of human and solar. Just like a human being goes through different times in their life, they also have cosmic type of initiations where a planet. I mean, these are, complex things, but there's an analogy, as above, so below, that we can find an analogy in our own awareness with the cycles of the cosmos. That's the whole point, to integrate ourselves, to get into the rhythm of the rest of the universe instead of our chatting mind. This here, again, what do the great teachers teach? They teach the soul and its mechanism. What is this soul? Who are we? What are we doing here? Are we just here to, go have pizza and beer and then go to a game and then die? Just do that over and over again? No. So what can we do? That's the whole point of a great teacher. They're not here to just, they don't come on this planet to just say, okay, here's a bunch of information, here's the book, I'll be bye. They teach us how to become exactly, like them, or at least start along that path, because, the greatest teachers, the avatars, the ones that take responsibility for the whole planet or even the solar system, those types of beings, they have to be, anchored in a really deep, profound place. And frankly, I think that it's a very difficult thing for a great soul to take a physical body and be subject to all kinds of stuff and bad food. This was another one, Alice Bailey in the 1930s, late 1800s. Lucis Trust, they were talking about the return of the Christ. Now again, in the Christian context, in the European context, people think of the Savior or the great teacher of the world as the Christ, which means just an anointed one. Basically, it's a title, and the title passes in the world that we don't live in. These great beings, they have amongst themselves, the Buddha and all these great beings, they have a consciousness that has, during their lifetime, they already went beyond the body, but when they leave, you can contact them. This is what people say. You go inside. That's where everything is, inside. If you want to contact anything, that's where it is. Now, I recommend this book. It's set in the Christian context again. There's people all over the world and Buddhists, and they're all expecting a Messiah. And, the Messiah, like, okay, well, I mean, imagine the problem that Jesus. Oh my God! Like, what are they going to think of me? If I have a beard, they're going to think one thing. If I have a hair, if I dress this way, they're going to think one thing. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, the human beings, us, we have all these concepts about the way our teacher's supposed to be. Well, if he doesn't wear white robes, then I'm sorry. Or if his voice is squeaky or whatever, or his hair's got to be white or whatever. So we have to get rid of our concept, because if you're going to have a concept about your so-called teacher, Messiah, then you might as well have just the same concepts about yourself, because you're going to limit other people, limit yourself. You don't want to limit yourself. There's the whole purpose of, the teachers, look, we're not trying to be like holy rollers and walk around and like, okay, like, what am I going to, God's going to punish me if I think the wrong thing and whatever. There's a whole play involved and a dance involved, that we're all here, we're making our mistakes, we're fumbling around, we're trying to explore the universe inside, we're trying to understand each other outside. It isn't like, you see some certain religions have seen some people where the costumes, I mean, if you're born in a certain religion, that's it, your clothes are black. Or you got to wear a certain hat or whatever. So it's a shame that religion has become like that. Now, I want to go through quickly here a little bit more. Again, the Gnostics, knowing, not just believing, knowing. That's the whole point. If a teacher doesn't teach us knowledge, what's he going to teach me? Just theory? No, I want knowledge. I want to know how to do stuff. I want to know how to go inside. That's the whole point. Not just have faith. Yeah, we have to have faith that if we practice something, yeah, it'll keep working. But, you want some results, which is knowing. And a treatise on white magic. I'll just cover this briefly here. The whole idea is, look, this human body that we all have, it's just a matter of assembly of energies. If you want to live a real disciplined life and you want to be pure and you empty, there's certain things that you can do if you want to be a fanatic and cleanse your body. And believe me, I've been in different times in my life, I've lived a real clean vegetarian life and everything. And boy, I tell you what, you can feel, wow, your body's like an electric, blissful, joyful thing to carry around, and it's fun. But I don't practice as much discipline as much in my older age, but again, there's things that you can do. The whole idea is to get a sense of wholeness about who we are first. Because if you want to understand who an avatar is or any other being, you got to understand who we are. That's what the teachers teach. Who are we? Go inside, feel who we are, and then you can explore all the other dimensions, your intuition, the feelings, and you harness things. You feel, okay, I'm a complete being. If you work from a point of completeness, then you become a radiating beacon, and wherever you go, it tends to bring a nice vibe. So healing has to do a lot with aligning and how does things precipitate. Ever see a 3D printer? Well, if you think about it for a second, every single day, 24/7, our bodies being like 3D printed by the cosmos, with that light energy, with the sound energy, with the various chemicals that are going on in our body, electricity and all. We're just sleeping and going about our business and watching TV. And meanwhile, the cosmos are working on us and holding us together. Because, if you think about, there wouldn't be us if there wasn't even oxygen. I mean, the stars got to be here for us. The sun's got to be here. So trying to understand the depths of our own being, we become a participant in the creation in more and more ways, to harness the energy of our fields and the movements and so on. There's great experiences with Tai Chi and all kinds of movement types of work, but the human vehicle has a lot of potential, and one of the potentials is to harness our mind and the totality of our body, our energy and awareness, and try to bring into manifestation. First, we come into an idea, we bring an idea, we assemble that idea, we bring some emotion into it, and we start to use our hands and we start to precipitate it out, because there's a step process of how we go about creating. And if we understand how our mind and our emotions work, then we can be a lot more productive in every aspect of our life. So basically, I'm going to go through this here quickly here. These great teachers, some of them, they want to get more advanced. They start getting into teaching about telepathy, a little bit about it, and now we have a cell phone, so maybe we don't need it so much. But in the old days, people learned how to communicate with each other, and that was a whole other subject. Now, Death, the Great Adventure, a little bit of a story about how people address the fact that we're mortal. We need to address that fact when we're young. And all our life I heard a saying, okay, when you're born, you're the one that's crying and everybody's happy to see you, so do something in your life so that when you die, when you leave, then you're the one smiling and they're the ones crying. So the idea is to be of some service. That's the whole point. And all these great avatars, they come here and they help us be happier. They teach us how to be ourselves. And I was covering the subject of when is Jesus going to come again? I don't know. I mean, the point is that when are we going to wake up? Because that presence, the imminent divinity is always with us. It doesn't matter. I mean, we don't have to wait for someone to pop out of the sky or whatever, whatever concepts are, or appear in our room. It's a part, there's no distance between our own awareness and the divinity. It's just like a tiny, tiny membrane. Our own ideas about ourselves. So this whole debate about whether Jesus is going to come and when is he going to come and what do you expect? I mean, let's say, for example, Jesus came back tomorrow and he came on a big plane or whatever, and he popped out on some Vimana or something and said, hey, everybody, here I am. What do you think would happen? They'd probably shoot him. So, look, these avatars, these beings that come and help us, they got a real problem because people have so many concepts. Well, we don't like that you touch a woman, or you look at a woman, or we don't like that you got married, or we don't like this, or we don't like. If you go to a doctor, you don't ask about his personal life. They, excuse me, but I don't go to doctors who drink a beer after work. I just. So we have to have an understanding, about what we're trying to expect here, because I heard the saying one time that there's two gods. There's the one that we create, and then there's the one that really made us. And you know, when I feel about God, I mean, people ask me, "Oh, do you believe in God?" Okay, look. From my point of view, there's nothing else but that infinity. I mean, there's just like that's what they say. Just said that's the cosmic reality is that it's oneness, and we're all connected here, and there's space between all our atoms, and we're basically an illusion, a walking hologram, you know, for a little while on this planet here. And what are we doing? We're going to argue about stuff? We have to understand that real religion is about the revelation within ourselves first, and then we, you know, the thing about what makes a person like Jesus so loving was that they recognize in every other person the same exact divinity that they recognize within themselves. That's what makes these great sages sages. They recognize oneness. They promote oneness, and they teach oneness, and they participate in oneness, and we're all just servants here. We're all just flowing along here, like the earth can be happy with the sun can be happy with the moon. We're all just here. We're just floating around this universe here. We're not here to have fights. And the concepts that we have are our own limitations. You can put your finger up and block out the sun, or you can just put it down and you're getting everything. So our ideas about ourselves and what God is and what Jesus is, and I mean, my goodness, it's just like, it's just so sad what's happened. And I don't, frankly, if I were Jesus, I'd be saying, I've been to that planet already. I don't like that one. But again, the sages are not like that, but they make a great commitment, and I bet there's a number of them on the planet right now. I'm sure there are more than I even know, but there I know it's been specific ones, and there's an old saying. I mean, all the beautiful flowers come from the same soil. What difference does it make? There's one over here, one over there, one this kind of flower, that kind of flower. What difference does it make? It doesn't. The whole concept of, okay, well, I want Jesus to come back, or I want Muhammad to come back, or I want Krishna to come back. Well, do you know what they are even? I mean, would you recognize them if they did come back? Go look in the mirror, see who you are. Maybe you are. Maybe you're a reincarnating angel or something, or one of the yogis from the past, probably. So, this subject of reincarnation and the reappearance of Jesus and so on, I mean, I think that we need to have a broader context and explore some of these other sources of information to get what was it all about here. And if Jesus appeared in other parts of the world, he would have been fine in India. So I'm running out of time here in my video, and I'm going to make another one. I've been getting some good feedback lately. I appreciate it. I do watch a lot of other content, and I appreciate and a lot of respect for my viewers. And please like and share if you find this information interesting and useful.